but you have to do all that you're supposed to do in order to be all that you're supposed to be for your everything to work together, you know, for good. And so we got off and we came to the corner of Evans Mill Road, right where this is here, and that boulevard that leads there, which goes to Newburgh Church or what have you, was merely a gravel road. I saw a sign that said 81 acres, 82 acres plus 35 acre lake for sale. And I told my niece and nephew stop, and we stopped in the middle of Evans Mill Road, and we backed up and went down the gravel road, which then turned into a dirt road. Because I always liked real estate, so I wanted to see what this lake looked like. And we drove back where now is Rebecca's house. But I want to tell you, if you can imagine the worst looking rat shack, farm, lean-to shack, barbed wire fence, and cow manure up to your knees, and all of that, that's what it looked like. And my wife, well, let me tell the story. So I sort of, I saw the vision. I saw what could be. And this is what vision is about. It's about seeing things that are not necessarily there, but looking at possibilities. I saw what it could look like. And I remember one day, I showed it to my wife because I had to get my money together to buy it. And she said, "Why in the world do you want to buy this place?" And I tried to explain to her what I saw there. And the good thing about our relationship, so she trusted me, she trusted what I was seeing, even though at the time she did not see what I saw. So there's another point to be learned there. Even people very close with you, you know, when you were created by God, each person is an individual person. You will have gifts that your sister or your brother or your mother or your wife or your husband may not necessarily have. But so, you know, you have to recognize that even people sometimes close around you will not understand what is driving you. But that's okay. It's important that you understand that this is what you were called to do or what have you. So anyway, the story goes like this. I finally figured out how I was going to pay for it, made an offer on the property, had been sitting here for 5 years. This property that you saw at Rebecca's house, nobody would buy it. And all of a sudden, someone else put an offer in. And first I'm thinking, okay, this is a real estate guy pulling one of those sales tactics on it. You know what I'm saying is, don't hurry up and buy it, this is someone else will get it. So I took an attitude. My attitude was, fine. He said, do you want to up your offer? I said, no, I don't want to up my offer. And so I went on, because I like the story, you know, I told you in the barbershop, I had my money was burning in my pocket when the man bought my building. Well, I had put together this finance, and I was going to buy me something of birth. I was going to buy me some land, because, you know, I was in that mode at that time. So I went on to Florida and started looking, but nothing seemed to work out. I even tried to buy a larger piece of land down there. But about 2 months later, I received a call from the real estate guy, and he said to me, Bill, you still want to buy that property? I said, yeah, why? And I began to get this warm and fuzzy feeling, you know? Have you ever had that to happen to you in life? You say, okay, something good about to happen here. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on here. That's the feeling that I got. And I said, why? He said, well, the guy who was supposed to buy it was supposed to be this big-time guy from Europe, and he didn't show up. And the owner is in a pickle, and you can buy it. In fact, you can buy it at your price. Now, did I tell you that my price was half what he wanted? I offered him half what he wanted. I forgot to tell you that part. And I wouldn't go up from half. So anyway, I said, well, okay. I said, well, you know, talk to me. Well, what's going on? What do you mean he's in a pickle? Well, what had happened was the owner of the lake property there wanted to sell this property, which is closer into Atlanta, and go about another 20 miles away from Atlanta and pay half the price and pocket some money in his pocket, which was a good business plan from his point of view. And so he took, in anticipation of selling this place to the guy who was supposed to close, who didn't show up, and left him in a bind, he took all of his savings and put it toward another place 20 miles out. And he was going to lose his down payment and everything if he didn't close on the property. So, the long and short, the real estate man talked me to go up $25,000, and he would throw in $25,000 because my offer wouldn't cover enough expenses for the man to make enough money to close out of this deal to go to the other deal. Well, you know, I was pretty tough back in that day and time. I was not soft hard to give away any money at that time. I took everything off the table. You know, any of you guys ever played? Like, you know, you take everything. You know, I was taking everything. But I did give up the 25 grand, and that's the story of how I got it. But now, it's important. I want to go a step further. You know, if you really believe in divine order, when you're really doing things for the right reason, and you know, if things have a way of working themselves out, you just keep working at it. And sometimes it looks like you're not making any progress. Things are not gonna happen for you. But don't give up. Don't ever quit is a lesson, even though sometimes you feel like quitting, and quite often you probably do. But some of you who are getting ready to graduate, I'm sure that has crossed your mind at one time or two, maybe you ought to give this up, you know. Maybe you ought to just go on and do something else. But you're just about to cross that threshold, and for those of you who are not there yet, just be reminded of this particular story. But the last part of the story I want to tell, and I'll actually stop at this point in time, is that I didn't really understand why I wanted to buy the property. Because as I said early on, I really wanted to get, I didn't want a farm. I mean, I worked too hard to get away from a farm. I worked too hard to get away from, you know, man had chickens out there. I remember when I was a kid, and I love my mother dearly, but the only thing that I just never understood, and that is why I had to get up at 6 o'clock and feed the chickens before I ate. Now, that just didn't make any sense. So I know I didn't want the man's chickens. I'm looking at a place that has chickens out there. I mean, why do I want to buy this? But, you know, again, looking at, you know, divine order of things, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the land. Sometimes when you're in a situation where you don't know what it is you want to do, I tell people, and this is an important element for you just to remember, work the problem backwards. Figure out what it is you don't want to do. Okay? There'll be many times you don't know what to do or what you want to do. Figure out what you don't want to do. So in working the problem backwards, I had an opportunity, because Atlanta was growing and bursting at the seams, to buy this property, cut it up into lots, start a lot of lakes around here. I mean, I could have really sold. You went to Sandstone Shores? Let me give you an idea. At that point in time, lots were selling for about $140,000 to $160,000 over in Sandstone Shores. And some of them had a lake in back of them, but it's a muddy lake. I had a pretty clear lake. So I'm figuring I could get 30% premium on my lots. But for whatever reason, that wasn't what it was supposed to be. And as I thought and meditated about the situation, I said to myself, you know, you're supposed to do something really significant with this. life cannot just be about you all the time. You have to do something that's really important, and really some of the most important things that you will do are not just for yourself. Is what you get this is scripture that supports is more blessed to give than to receive. And it's kind of hard for most people to experience and understand that, but really it would just push me to create something that would benefit the public. And that's where I came up with the concept in general. And as I thought about it, then eventually it was refined over a period of time, and actually over a period of years. I simply began to work and clear the land, to get rid of the barbed wire, clean it up, and get ready. And then the vision came. And the vision came that I should create this institute to fill in a gap that is missing link, especially in the minority African American community, and that is we don't own enough of the communities in which we live. And why is that? And the reason is, one of the many reasons could be, we don't really understand entrepreneurship and how to own things. And why should we? We really haven't been really taught that. We've always been taught to get a good job. And this is to everybody, black, white, otherwise. You know, but I say to young people, I understand you need a job, but you need to think in terms of, you know what, give somebody else a good job. That means if you're giving them a job and you're paying them, you got to be, or should be making more than they're making. So always think in terms of you helping them, and then, you know, you got multiple things going on. So for that reason, that was the emphasis, the impetus that caused me to create Camp Exposure. Then I wanted to create several different levels of Camp Exposure. The first one was that I believe that, and still do, and I said some of this today at the advisory board at Clark, Atlanta. The language of economics is like a foreign language, and business ownership within many of our communities. We have to